Video games, for the most part, place you, the gamer, in the role of a hero. Be it as a war hero in games like Call of Duty, or even alien killing machines like in Doom. However, one glaringly obvious hero which is often overlooked is the police officer. And yes, there has been some amazing police games in the past, such as Rockstar's LA Noire, Sega's light gun shooter Virtua Cop, and even recently we have seen Disco Elysium get rave reviews. But beyond them, and a few others, nothing really stands out, except maybe Urban Chaos Riot Response. Released in 2006 for the Xbox and PS2, Urban Chaos Riot Response sees you take control of Nick Mason, a member of the new anti-terrorist team named T-Zero. Your city is on its knees, with gang members and terrorists running riot, and of course your goal is to bring order back to the city, by any means necessary. Since your enemies have more arms than the Ukraine, usually with meat cleavers, Molotov cocktails and sawn-off shotguns, you're equipped with a riot shield that can be used by holding the left trigger. It can absorb an infinite amount of projectiles, but you cannot shoot whilst you're using it. You can get the assistance of firefighters to put out fires and medics to replenish your health during a mission. The story is further expanded on through cutscenes before each act, which is done in the style of a news report with a real presenter. This is a nice touch as it adds to the drama and sprinkles a bit of realism to the game. You in your role as Riot Cop need to help and recapture the city from the rioters by whatever means necessary in order to protect the city, arresting gang leaders and rescuing injured civilians as you go through the game. The term bittersweet describes the game's graphics down to a T, because it's actually a really nice looking game. New York looks like a concrete jungle in chaos. It's dank, dirty, dangerous, and on fire. The characters are also well designed, with the rioters looking very intimidating, wearing hockey masks and holding meat cleavers and guns. Adding to the atmosphere, the rioters with cleavers will usually hail abuse and then just run at you, which I personally thought was a great little touch. But for all the praise you can give Urban Chaos for its graphics, which, once again, look really nice, one thing glaringly obvious stands out. It's very run-of-the-mill. What I mean by that is, there's no definite art style. The characters mostly look the same, and that is an issue because no character or setting is that memorable, despite looking great. And it really is to the detriment of an otherwise fantastic game. So this is a tricky one to judge, because we all know how first-person shooters on the PS2, Xbox and GameCube were a bit clunky, and looking at them through a modern lens is a tad unfair, but I will do my best here. So, Urban Chaos features more than 15 missions, with more than half of those being main story missions. The game gives you some level objectives, such as kill all the enemies, arrest gang leaders, save hostages, and escort emergency workers through dangerous levels. One example of this is when you have to navigate through a burning building to rescue some trapped citizens, and the only way to do this is with an oxygen tank and thermal imaging goggles. It really gives you a sense of urgency and adds real tension to the level. These missions are timed and usually require you to rescue hostages in the form of a minigame, in which you have to time your shot carefully to hit the criminal who is using the hostage as a meat shield. The story missions just require you to run from one end of the level to the other while serving swift justice to the rioters in the form of a bullet to the brain. And a big part of what makes the gunplay fun in Urban Chaos is the fast-paced action that comes from blasting hordes of hockey mask-wearing psychos. That's not to say that the gunplay is buttery smooth like today's 60 FPS 4K shooters, but it is still very easy to control. As mentioned earlier, one brilliant part of the game is when you come face to face with an enemy that says something derogatory about your mum, and then charges you whilst trying to use a rusty cleaver to give you a lobotomy. Sadly, the enemies are very scripted and offer very little in the way of variety in how they attack. Hell, when you die and restart the level, the very same enemy will be in the very same place and act exactly how they did before you died. This is a bit too obvious to ignore and is one of the bad points of the game. So the real unique feature of the game is the Riot Shield, which in all honesty seems overpowered, almost as though it's made of diamond filament or something. The shield can stand up to just about anything, from machetes to bullets and rockets. You can hold the shield up and slowly creep forward, which is a great way to perfectly position yourself in a firefight. You can also get up close to an enemy and use the shield to rearrange their face. Since you can't fire your weapons whilst holding up the shield, you'll quickly settle into a pattern of letting the enemy shoot the shield a few times and then returning the fire while he reloads his weapon. But that said, the Riot Shield mechanic does work really well without making the game too easy. Urban Chaos Riot Response is a simple but satisfying take on a first-person shooter. It doesn't go for the ultra-realism, tactics or story like the Tom Clancy games. Instead, it just gives you a lot of great weapons and lets you massacre a ton of enemies. If you're looking for a fun pick up and play shooter and don't mind a lot of senseless brutality, you could do a lot worse than Urban Chaos. I honestly cannot recommend the game enough, and I just hope that more people give this gem a go. So thank you for watching this review, and I'll see you again very soon for another video. Take care.